A lovely moment you have there, and a lovely moment that we must tell you that we have here simply because you've always been making the whole moment lovely. Both to us and to all of us around here, I must comment that you've always been there from our inception. You've always been there. You've always been the one making us happy. You've always been the one making us DARA. You've always been the one making us like feel the Africanness that we are supposed to always feel. That's why we love you. We have to tell you that. And we can't be here without you. That's the big sad truth that I have to tell you. But in order not to like go too much, you see, today we don't want to go far. We want to like get back to make some clarity about um the sickle cell and you. What do I mean by that? There are some things you have to learn about this sickle cell, this the sickle cell system and how it works, what leads to one, what leads to the other. And aside that, there are some things you also need to understand. There are some things you too need to do. I know they better place to push some of those things. That's why I'm here with a wonderful person who would always dish out those things one after the other. She has been this advocate. She has been a warrior. She has been a champion. She had been a soldier. I must even call her an army general. Yes. She's been a warrior without going to war with battles. Like with armor. She goes with verbal armor. I no won't go too far because if you see her, you go understand say she gets shoulder past me. Sef.
There you go.
So at this point, permit me to introduce you to a very intelligent person, a banker by profession,
Mhm.
um, an epitome of beauty,
Uh-huh.
and make I no go too far because already she down they say and when they say those things they make me oh. Her name is Idiongoima Umoh. I know her to be a Emeraldi because she's an emerald. So please meet Idiongoima Umoh. Idiongoima, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here on Ujo Africa podcast.
This is DARA Africa podcast, and DARA Africa podcast is brought to you by Ujo Africa. That's why she had to make that little mistake, but
Oh,
we don't learn. We don't learn. So coming back, ID, you know, your mate mentioned this sickle cell.
yeah.
What can you make us understand to be sickle cell? You know, most times we hear about sickle cell anemia, sickle cell this, sickle cell that.
Yeah.
What is sickle cell and what causes sickle cell?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Firstly, I would say that sickle cell is a blood-related disease.
Blood related disease. Oh,
Yes, it is a blood-related disease, and that means that it affects the blood. Now, normally, we are supposed to have a round-shaped red blood cell as a normal, person without this condition. You
that's what they
have,
used to draw for
yes,
us in school.
yes, you
Okay.
have a spherical shaped like red blood cell, and that shape allows the red blood cells to pass freely in the system. But
Okay.
when it comes to sickle cell, our red blood cells are not shaped spherically. Yes, they are shaped in a form of half moon, or should I say, sickle. When I was doing agriculture in secondary
Sickle,
school,
sickle, that
yes, yes,
curved
there is
shape,
this particular agricultural tool that is called the sickle
curved
tool,
shape.
very curved. So that is
Okay.
where
The name
sickle
sickle
cell
cell.
comes from. Exactly.
Mm,
So now, because of that shape, it when it passes through the vessels, it causes problems because they can't pass freely, and that is what leads to what we know as sickle cell crisis. Because it's just like passing through a narrow vessel, and you can't pass freely. You're bumping into things, so it causes that friction, that crisis that we call sickle cell crisis. So that is what sickle cell is about. But then, secondly, Sickle cell is also a genetic disease. What I mean by that is that it can be passed.
That is transgenerational.
Yes, from generations to generations. If you don't have it in your family, you can't possibly have it. So it's a blood related disease, it's a genetic condition, and it's not a communicable disease. So that is what I can really simply put in a layman's language what sickle cell is about. So to going back to your question,
Okay.
like I said, you might not really determine, oh, this person is a sickle cell warrior just by mere looking at them.
Okay.
For example, I, for one, I don't look it. A lot of people have told me, you don't look like, do you understand? But there are signs that present itself for we to start checking. Oh, let's check. Maybe this person is this. And the number one sign and symptom is anemia. We being anemic, because anemic simply means you're losing,
You losing weight?
yes, using no, you're losing blood.
Oh.
Yes, the red blood cells in a normal condition last for 120 days before it, regenerates. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Okay.
But in our case, it lasts 10 to 20 days.
10 to 20
Yeah,
days.
so you can imagine that is what makes us anemic frequently.
Okay.
And from this being anemic, sickle cell crisis can kick in. You can have fatigue, loss of appetite, and all of that. So that is like the signs and symptoms of sickle cell disease, because we get anemic quickly than others. And that is why we are always being advised to feed properly, take foods that will give you, enough blood, pump yourself with, blood supplements and all of that. And that is why the drug folic acid is like our daily routine drug. We cannot do without it as sickle cell warriors, because that is what boosts our blood level or
So,
our hemoglobin, if I may put it like that. So that is what
folic
I can
acid
say.
you
Yeah,
mentioned.
folic acid,
Okay.
yes. So that is that. If anywhere you go, that will be like the first drug being prescribed to you as a sickle cell warrior.
So, I have a big question for you, but I
Okay.
have to like press this one first before I
Okay.
forget.
Okay.
Does it mean that on daily basis you have to take folic acid so that
Exactly. It's a daily, that's why we call it daily routine drugs.
okay?
Those are the drugs you take
Does it
daily.
have a dosage?
It has a dosage. Normally, all drugs should have
Yeah.
dosages so that we guard against drug abuse.
Yeah.
So it has dosage, but it's a daily routine, and it's not a pain reliever. Pain
Okay.
relievers, you only take pain relievers when you are in that crisis, that state. But daily routine drugs doesn't need you to be in, crisis. So those are the signs and symptoms that you might really, okay, this person is a sickle cell warrior.
Now, talking about the normal blood cells
Okay.
lasting for
20
120
days, yeah.
days, and that of the cycle of a sickle cell person lasts between 10 to
To
20
20
days. That
years.
is far, far, far less than
Far less
100
than,
and
yes,
extra.
yes.
Ah, now how do they survive? How do they balance? I know you've mentioned the normal daily routine of taking this, taking that, but it's still scary. Scary in the
Yes.
fact that the other set of people who are not sickle cell anemic also undergo these things. They take a lot of supplements. They also take a whole. I think I have friends who don't joke with the folic acid too.
Yeah.
Not as if they're sickle
Yes.
cells,
Yes.
but how do the sickle cells persons in this short cycle of 10 to 20 still strive? I understand maybe that's what warrants that name, warrior.
Yeah.
But how do they strive to succeed, to survive? And I think,
Well, I guess what you're asking me is the management.
yes.
Yes, we manage. There are various ways of managing, like I said, sickle cell disease. And the first way is you can undergo blood transfusion. That is
Okay.
why most of the time we spend in the hospital undergoing blood transfusion when it gets to a critical stage, when the doctors see that folic acid cannot really do much again. So they will now advise for blood
Transfusion.
transfusion.
Okay.
And then also that folic acid too, you don't need to wait to be anemic for you to take it because it boosts. But like I said, it takes 10 to 20 days. So these red blood cells will still undergo hemolysis, you get. So it's something that is bound to happen. We cannot avoid it. All we can do is manage it. So one of the management is the blood transfusion that I've spoke about, and also taking your daily routine drugs, your blood boosters to keep up. So that's how we just manage it as a whole. Okay.
I had to hit my pillow
Yeah.
there. Um, where I come from,
Okay.
most of us believe so much in spirituality.
Okay.
And believing in spirituality, we pray, oh, God forbid, God, please cast this away, God, do this, God, do that.
Yeah.
Not that I dispute the fact that God does not heal and all those things, but do spirituality come into the sickle cells? Is it that if we pray, kabash, and cast out many things, it would help maybe heal or salvage this person from being a sickle cell person or something? Do spirituality come in here exactly?
Well, personally, before I answer this question, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I know that my God is a God of impossibilities. There
Okay,
is nothing, absolutely nothing
he can't
that He
still.
cannot do. But then again, we always have to take precautions. We shouldn't always want to tempt God. Do you understand? Just like seeing fire and you go ahead to put your hands and say, okay, if I put my hands, God will not allow it to burn me. Do you get? So, yes, you find yourself in a situation which most of us didn't plan or couldn't have avoided it. Do you understand? So we were born into this kind of situation, and we have been told, that this is a blood related disease. You get, this is something that might not go away. You get, but these are how you can manage it. Sickle cell is just like having diabetes
Okay.
or having other forms of diseases, which has their own way of management. So I feel like, yes, pray to God, because if I must say personally, being a sickle cell warrior is very hectic. You need God to
To
even
to
conquer it.
survive,
Do
yeah.
you get me? So while we have faith in God to take the burden away from us, we also have to do what we are supposed to do. And God just, sees the efforts and, makes it work. So it's just one whereby you find yourself in a situation, you're not doing anything to, manage the situation, and you just sit back. I feel that is being tardiness. That's tardiness for me. Being tardy, like, it doesn't make sense. You get. So yes, pray to God about your condition. There is no condition that is permanent. If God says yes, nothing can stop it. But still do what you're being advised by your doctor to do. And with God, you can survive sickle cell. Like I've come across other sickle cell warriors that have lived above 60. You get, so it is no longer news that you can live with sickle cell disease. It shouldn't be something that when somebody finds itself in that situation, you give up on life. You know, even though I would say that it's hectic personally because
It's
I'm wearing the,
difficult,
yes,
yeah.
it's difficult. But like I said, with God, you can survive sickle cell. You can even achieve a lot more than somebody that doesn't even have the condition. You get, so
Okay.
that's it. That's my
Now,
answer.
now, as a warrior,
Okay.
as a sickle cell warrior, and you said you've lived with it for 30 years. How do you and your fellow warriors try to combat this sickle cell menace?
As sickle cell warriors, we have established the fact that there is nothing that we can really do to change our situation. But we also have established the fact that we can be there for each other. So when we find ourselves, when we identify ourselves with others, we tend to like talk about our experiences because even though I'm a sickle cell warrior, the next person is a sickle cell warrior, our experiences can be very different. My trigger might not be the other person's trigger.
Oh, there are different
Yes,
triggers.
there are different triggers. So talking about it, you can say that talking about it can help the other person. Maybe the other person thinks it's over, but a little word of encouragement, like, guy, I'm SS2, but this is what I do. This is what I do. This is how I go about it. You get it helps. So we try to like form this community in helping one another, if not physically, if not financially, but mentally, because sickle cell disease has the capacity of taking a toll on you physically, emotionally, financially, and otherwise. So, any way that we can help each other, we come together to help each other.
Any way that you can help each
Yes.
other, you have to collectively join hands to help each other. I'm sure you've also learned that. And to me, I feel it's not all about the sickle cell warriors just joining hands to help. It's all about me, it's all about you, because sometimes when I sit back to think, God created me and gave me 120 days of cycle of cell cycling, yet the other person has 10 to 20 days. That means the little I have,
Yeah,
you should also try to. Now,
exactly.
coming back to we, these other sets having 120 and this one having less than 20, far less than
Yeah,
20.
yeah.
How do you blend in um, the society? Blend in the sense that, starting from childhood, where a
Mm.
lot of things are done in energetic forms and so on.
Like, it's crazy. I will not even lie. It is very hectic. Judging, I don't know about another person, but I will speak concerning or because of what I've dealt with. I'm going to speak based on that. Personally, it's hectic because in the society, even as a child, there's so many effects of being a sickle cell warrior. Even as a child, you get to, experience a lot of changes that happens as a child. You don't even get to be a child as a sickle cell warrior because you're being told, don't do this, do this. Whereas a child is supposed to live freely. If a child wants to jump, let the child jump. Like, there's this favorite quote that I like telling parents: let the child be a child, because we don't get back our childhood days. But in our case, we don't get to be children. We get to even grow up fast.
You
Bec-
become
You
adults before
become adults
adulthood.
even before adulthood kicks in, because you'll be here. You want to do a certain thing, you can't because of your condition. It's crazy because you always have to think about the don't, and you discover that when you want to flaunt the others, you are going to pay for it, if not immediately, but later. I have one experience like that. As a child, I experienced this, but it stuck. I cannot forget it, even when this happened to me as a child. As a sickle cell warrior, we don't, cold water should be far away, yeah, from us at that tender age. It's even now that I've grown, that I can even bear to bet cold water if the weather is
Oh,
very,
not even drinking. It
is
led to
betting,
birthing
even
too.
betting it, drinking it, the people that it affects. So you have to know your triggers. So I was told as a child, you can't play under the rain. You can't go somewhere and rain is falling and you enter the rain and say, I can't wait. You have to wait for the rain to subside. But as a child and in the neighborhood I grew up in, it was not a secluded neighborhood. It was a very open neighborhood,
Okay.
where children were loose, we played, you get. So one particular evening, I had this experience where rain fell, kids were jumping. You know how kids can be. jumping in, running under the rain. I felt like jumping in. But even as a child, I couldn't, like, that first impulse of following your guts wasn't there. I still had to like think, should I? Should I not? Should I? Should I not? And eventually I jumped in because as a child I was like, what is the worst that can happen? You get a hand. So I jumped in, but what I saw that night, my mouth cannot say it. When my peers, were sleeping, exhausted from the play, I was battling with crisis. And sickle cell crisis is no joke. Its pain is intense. So it stuck. So that from that moment, if I go to school and I even sense showers, I won't even attempt.
When other people are waiting for
When
the rain to just drop
drop,
and
let them. Me,
hey.
I'm waiting behind.
So you, hey, no wonder you
So,
said, no
yeah.
wonder you said, you from childhood you even grow into adulthood.
Yes, you overthink things.
That's fun of
That
birthing in the
no,
rain.
it's not there. And
Hey,
even there's some games you can't even play. Sports like run, you can't do that. As like I had an interest in sports when I was in nursery school, but I couldn't even attempt it. Want me to run and go back home and I will not sleep at night. So I stayed away from sports. Like I had to train myself not to even like sports because I knew that I couldn't engage in any sport. Which of the sports will I do that will not be hectic? You get? So as a child, it robs you of a lot. You need, like, you grow up fast as a child. You think about things, like you overthink things. You become an adult. You get? And when that happens, other children wouldn't want to associate with you because they feel, oh, why doesn't she want to play with me? Why does she's not fun like other kids? She's not fun to be with. You get? And they stay away from you. So aside from, growing up fast and becoming an adult, you get excluded from the social circle. You're no longer accepted. Nobody wants to be with you because you don't play when they want to play. And kids don't just want to sit down and play cool games. They want to run. You get? So that really affected my social life. In my nursery school, I didn't have friends. People looked at me funny. So it was just always me and my brother when we were in school. After school, my brother, they are going home. So it was like straight way for me, even as a child. So living that kind of life, I felt like I didn't really enjoy, my childhood. But that's a story for another day.
it's alright. I don't know. Song it is into me now about those things because how can I stay without jumping, running, shouting, and all those
Exactly.
things? Ah, that means childhood. Hey, hey, hey.
Honestly, in fact, as a sickle cell warrior, if you are too happy, is a problem. If you're too sad, is a problem. Like emotions is a problem.
So emotions are part of the trigger still.
Yes.
Ah. Okay, now let's get
Heartbreak is not good for us. Just putting it out there, yes.
now
So that can trigger crisis.
mentioning heartbreak. Let's delve in straight into the adulthood. In childhood experience, you made mention about being sidelined, being
Yeah.
neglected by even other children.
Yeah.
One of the things I understand about children is that they don't care, they just flow along. But
Exactly.
it's in adulthood that some people try to like fish out who is who, what is what, and so on. So now growing into adulthood,
Yeah.
how many of these things are still happening to you? How do you fit into the society? How do you still feel this kind of negligence? No, I shouldn't even call it negligence. Like um I feel still neglected by some set
Yes,
of people.
yes.
And do you have that warm embrace now as an adult, or how do you cope now
Well, I would say it's not far apart
from
from what happened in childhood. There's really no, like there are differences, but it's just a little bit of
Okay.
it. As an adult, I've grown. I know how to handle my own emotions. I can take things a little bit better, you know, more than being a child. So in that case, I will feel it's more better. But even as an adult, even when you find yourself in a friendship relationship state, it's a problem because when you know that sickle cell is a genetic disease, you will know that you can't just marry anybody. You can't just be with anybody.
Yeah.
That is number one. So, and a lot of men are aware of this.
Women
And
too.
yes, and women too. And they know that, and for me, I feel like it takes a lot, do you get, for a man to say, okay, you're sickle cell warrior, and so what? So even as an adult, I still find that some people are still, the mindset of people are still back in 1960s. They are not in 2025. They are still in, like the way I say it, they are still in 1960s. They feel that what you're going through should be a problem, whereas it shouldn't. Because for me, if you are AA, I don't see why you shouldn't be with me. That is the fact. Except you are AS and SS, and we are like, okay, oh, we don't want to put our kids through this, and that one is understandable. But if you are AA and you still have the mentality of, I can't be with this person, I
But
can't
is it
associate with this
medically
person,
proven that AA and SS can intermingle without any?
it's medically proven. That is even what brings about sickle cell. If an
No, I mean
AS,
AA
okay,
and AA, sorry, and SS. Like an AA
yes,
intermingling
yes,
with.
it is medically approved. Because there's no way you would have a sickle cell patient as a child. It's medically proven. That is why it's been advised as an SS. The only matched genotype that you can go with is AA. You can't even risk it.
So that means before you go into anything called relationship, it
Yes,
has to be.
you have to do your background before you even let emotions, you know, engulf you to a point where you now find out that it's difficult to detach. Let's know it first before we even move ahead to do anything. You get it? So even me personally, it took time for me to even understand this concept because I wasn't this open about my condition. There was a time I wasn't open. I felt because of the experiences I had, I felt it was the best for me not to even open up. Do you get? But I've also seen it this way that if I don't open up early, it still comes back to me. The hurt still comes back to me. Do you get? So why not just avoid it initially? So I now deal with it better than when I was a child. It dealt with my self-esteem. You know, I felt so bad for myself. I cried. I didn't have friends. You know, I wondered why my life was like this. But now, if you want to be my friend, be my friend. If you don't want to be my friend, go to your house. You get, that's just the way I see it because I see myself more than what I am going through. I'm more than being a sickle cell warrior. There's a lot of layers to me. So if you're just looking at that aspect of my life, then why do I need to call you a friend?
A friend in need
Yeah.
is a
So
friend
I
indeed.
mean, so I've dealt with it better as an adult than when I was a child. Like I've grown. Things I've come to understand certain
So
things.
now it's there for you, who there for you.
Exactly. Let everybody just, they on their own and mind their business. Do you get? So because if you want to like take it like that, my depression can even kill you and sickle cell doesn't. Sickle cell kills. That is why when we live above 20, we call ourselves warriors because we know even to survive more than 20 years is a hassle. You get? Sickle cell kills. So if you now leave sickle cell has not killed you yet, but then depression, because you're thinking that you don't have people that accept you, that you don't have people that want to be friends with you, you're depressed. I mean, it's not really worth it. What we should be thinking about is, yes, this is what I am, but how do I live with this and achieve what I want to achieve. That should be the priority. That should be what we should be thinking about.
Okay, now delving in straight again. Oh, sorry, continuing with that part of the relationship things.
Okay.
A lot of people, most times they love to come back home because
Mm.
this is DARA Africa. And by
Okay.
DARA Africa, first of all, you have to celebrate yourself. You have to understand who you are. My friend used to say that you know yourself and have peace.
Mm.
And now, most people,
Okay.
just like I asked the other time about being religious and being spiritual about your
Mm-hmm.
system, your healthcare, your
Okay.
future.
Okay.
Most people, most time, I think I've even come across somebody who is an AS
Okay.
in a relationship with an AS too. And when they
Okay.
went for a medical check, they
Mm.
realized this. But one of them was like, no, my God cannot disappoint me. I would go ahead to marry you because I love you and I have to, like, I don't have any other person who is like you. I have to marry you. God would
Mm.
never let any of my children be an SS. God
Mm.
would never make me put to bed a sickler or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And some of them have gone ahead
Yeah.
to settle down and marry. Some of them have even procreated.
Okay.
Now, what would be your advice to this? Is it that health wonderfully okay to
Okay.
believe in being religious compared to just like you have mentioned that AA can marry an SS
Mm.
and so on and so forth?
Okay. Mm, personally, mm, like I said, even right now, there is this scientific findings that has made it possible for people to do gene selection.
Okay.
You get what I mean by gene selection is, and me being an SS, I find an AS man and I'm not ready to let go. I can say, okay, let's do this. We have the money, but it's going to cost you.
No, this one they're ready to do everything natural.
Natural. Okay, then I won't advise that. I won't because nobody will advise you to do that. That is why when people want to settle down, premarital test is being recommended. And this premarital test is not just about let's go and find out if you are HIV positive or not. There are so many tests that you do on the premarital test, and that includes the genotype test. And so after that premarital test, if you're being discovered that your genotypes do not match, you will be referred to a counselor that will counsel you against being together. They will tell you this journey that you're about to take is not only going to drain you mentally, it's going to drain you financially. They will tell you the 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 things behind it. They'll tell you why you shouldn't go ahead, with it. So I like to like hit to see when science, it's very rare before science is wrong, you get, but science is not God. Do you get?
Yeah.
God can beat science, but then again, we need to also listen except you have that financial capability to go the other route. I won't advise it. I won't advise it because it's hectic. I won't lie. It's hectic on the person. It's hectic on the parents of the person, on the family of the person. It's going to be hectic on the friends of the person because I know what my friends go through when I'm down. I know what my parents go through when I'm down. I know what I go through when I'm down. So I wouldn't even advise somebody to do that. But it's still the person's choice to make. We can only say don't. We cannot force. But medically, it's a no-no.
Okay,
Yes, it's a
now
no-no.
to my final question.
Okay.
You've already done so much, so I don't need to bombard you with so many questions. Love to tell the non-sickle cell persons,
Okay.
how will you love them to embrace those with sickle cells, and
Mm.
what are those ways that sickle cell warriors have been, what are those things too that the sickle cell warriors have been longing to have from the non-sickle
Okay.
cell persons, so that at least it can
Yeah.
help them also enjoy the moment of living on
I
earth.
think that generally, when somebody has a particular problem, what that person needs is support, assistance. It's not only to sickle cell. So, as a sickle cell warrior, judging from what I have said, people know that this is hectic. So, I feel like if we get more support from non-sicklers, if we get support, oh, are you okay today? It goes a long way. Oh, somebody that you know who is a sickle cell warrior needs blood transfusion. You opt and help. It goes a long way. Checking on the person, because sickle cell is not only dealing with the person's body, it's also dealing with the person's mind.
What if the blood group do not match?
If the blood group doesn't match, the person will not be advised to give. But if you are a universal donor like O positive, go ahead.
No drag me
It,
now.
it, it
No drag
doesn't
me.
it doesn't
No
like, I
drag
mean,
me.
you're helping out a soul, and knowing that it's not easy to deal with this condition. We need all the love that we can get. Yes, because I feel like what makes us live longer is the love, the support, the assistance that we get when we need it. So people should be more empathetic, more accepting, you know, more supporting, more comforting to sickle cell warriors, because I can tell by my own experience that it's not easy.
She can tell by her own experience that
Mm,
it is not
it's not
easy.
easy.
And you have heard a whole lot. We all need that support. We all
Yeah,
need that. In fact, we need that celebration. Yes, I have to mention the celebration, because what I mean by celebration is, ID, your clothes is fine and I
exactly.
celebrate you today and all
Yeah,
those things. Not just stigmatizing and
yes,
everything. No, we have to give ourselves that warm embrace. We need that warmth for
exactly.
everyone to coexist and coexist properly.
Mm.
So at this point, I believe that you have seen that more need and that necessity to celebrate yourself. I always land with that. Yes. After celebrating yourself, which is the essence of DARA Africa, that is celebrating who you really are. You celebrate every other person's around you. Yes, that is why I'm here celebrating ID.
Thank you very much for that.
That's why I'm here celebrating ID, and I always celebrate her. I always celebrate everyone around her, and I want you to always celebrate all of us.
Yes, I would say that I am blessed with the people I have in my life. They are so supporting. I mean, they have been a bigger part of my life. They have helped me in my journey, and they are still helping me in my journey. So, and they have also made me open my eyes to knowing that, I mean, if somebody cares for you, you would need to struggle to get that care and love. So, I'm just a sickle cell warrior. I need love. Okay, so just like every other human being that is out there, so please celebrate. If you come across sickle cell warriors, is it in your school, your
Your
workplace, wherever you
houses,
might be, your
your
community,
churches,
your
your
churches, you get to
community.
know when you see that person, how are you feeling today? I
In
have
the
a
market,
lot.
buy them plenty
I have
fruits.
a lot of people that are like, how are you doing today? I have a lot of people that are like, you need fruits. I got you fruits. Like, it helps us know that, okay, we are not in this alone, that people
I
see
no go
that,
lie today. Oh.
yes, it's
She bought me fruit. I no buy her fruit. She bought me fruit.
okay. So
She
that's
bought
it.
me fruit. So thank you so much for being there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I must always thank you. But do not forget to like, yes,
Like,
follow,
yeah,
comment, and
yes.
share to as many
Please
people
share.
as possible. We need to like transfer this information, this message, as far as we can. Let's keep crossing the whole thing. And believe me, now God will always bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.